Hi, this is Jay LaRose of Saw 3, Insidious, Devil's Carnival, and Repo kind of fame. I don't know, not fame, but hey, you're listening to the Tim O and Harley Show. Enjoy.
Welcome to the Tim O and Harley Show.
Thank you for listening to the Tim O and Harley Show. I am Tim O. Over there is my partner in Mindcrime, Mr. Ben Harley. Say hello, Harley.
What is happening, people?
Ben Horton, here's a who. Harley. How the hell are you?
Hey, Tim. Good, Tim. How are you today, buddy?
Not too bad. I want to tell everybody, once again, we have some crazy technical foul-ups. Yeah. So we're trying this in a different way. Look, FaceTime, we usually do this little trade secrets here. We usually do this over FaceTime since Ben Harley lives in Toledo, Ohio.
Yes.
and I live in outside St. Louis, Mo, on the Illinois side of the river. And the string we had pulled between two styrofoam cups, it snapped last week. Some dickhead cut it.
Yeah.
So
jackass.
Right. So we're kind of down to a few different options here. In reality, we usually use FaceTime, and it hasn't been working very well on Ben's Mac. So we're going to try something a little different. So Ben's voice is sounding funky. Ben Harley, we are in flux.
Yeah. That's just my voice.
You got a cold this week.
Sounds funny? Yeah, it's just me.
Yeah. But we are in flux. I'm switching rooms, so there's been a slight echo on my end. You've been solid up until now, but now your FaceTime decides it wants to give you some problems.
Yeah.
So we're gonna soldier through, Ben Harley. We want to get the damn show done, so we're gonna soldier through.
That's right.
So
our fans demand it, Timo.
Yeah. Everything else going okay besides your FaceTime failing on you?
Going pretty good, Timo. Yeah, things are slowing down a little at the shop, which is good. So not day and night work right this second.
Right.
So that's good.
Just day, evening, early morning work.
Yeah, pretty much. Real early morning.
Right.
Which I like my early mornings, Timo. So.
I got you. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I got some stuff to throw at you. I actually watched some stuff this week, so I'm gonna try to get through them as quick as I can. Are you ready?
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
Yes, Timo. I got my hat on. My socks are on tight.
But you're sitting, right?
Yes.
Good.
Yes,
Good.
Sir.
All right. So from 2017, Ben Harley. 2017, the movie, a movie from 2017, Mortal Remains.
Okay.
This is a mockumentary on the Amazon Primes about a mythical filmmaker named Carl Atticus. It's a mockumentary / found footage, and supposedly it was approved by a one Eduardo Sanchez.
Oh, that guy.
From the Blair Witch Project. He was one of the three people that, So apparently it was approved by that. And all I can say to that is, so what?
Right.
Not so much. Yeah. I didn't really get in this. It felt really fake.
Did it?
Okay. And the whole thing is it was supposed to be brilliant by feeling very real. It does not feel very real to me at all. So, don't know. Not good, though. I did not enjoy this. It does have some good reviews and stuff online. I don't know where those are coming from, but they're not going to get one from this cowboy right here. Let's see here. Also, Ben Harley. Now, I'm gonna go back a few years before 2017. Okay.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah. From 1935.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. From 1935, we have the pseudo vampire flick from MGM, not Universal, from MGM. It's got Bela Lugosi in it. It's called Mark of the Vampire. Okay.
Nice. All right.
And
all right.
the stars of the film really aren't Lugosi. It's really not. He is he's creeping around the shadows dressed like Dracula.
Okay.
All right. Pretty much.
Right.
And the film really more or less stars Lionel Barrymore and Lionel Atwill. Both my Lionels.
Both of them.
Both of them are in here. Yeah. Actually, me and Angio watched this and had fun watching it. I saw this years ago. I didn't enjoy it very much because it is a, quote, pseudo vampire movie.
Okay.
I think I was looking for a more vampire movie whenever I saw it.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it this time. We had kind of fun watching it. So,
Okay.
1935. We watched it streaming. Now, this is as snooty as I get. All right.
All right. Yeah.
Streaming off of Sling TV, off the Turner Classic Movies channel. Off their demand,
Wow.
on demand. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're digging, Steve.
I am digging. You're right. Let's see here. I'll get you to another year. 1972.
Ooh, okay.
Okay.
All right, what you got?
Mad.
Lay it on me.
Mad Monsters. That's three
Mad
Mads.
Monsters. Okay.
Three Mads and Monsters. A Rankin Bass cartoon
Yes.
that was a follow-up to Mad Monster Party.
Oh, okay.
Never heard of it before.
No. And what'd you think?
It was no Mad Monster Party, and they got somebody that's imitating Boris Karloff's voice. So I'm like, yeah, no, not too much on this one. So, like I said, it was an interesting thing to go back and see because this thing is actually a year older than me.
Yeah.
So I thought that I would go back and check that, but I don't know. I don't really know. It is also on Amazon Prime, by the way.
Okay. All right.
Still trying to get you over there. It ain't gonna
Snooty,
work.
I know.
But
I'm working on it. Working on it.
Yeah, you've been. By the time you get there, it's going to be a colossal beast because you've been working on it so long. Let's see here. Also on Amazon Prime, Ben Harley. Another one.
Yes.
I'm just throwing this stuff out to you at this point. It's like darts in a wall because I keep saying Amazon, and all this stuff is like, this stuff should be hook, line, and sinker for you. So anyway, once again,
I'm getting there.
on
I'm
Amazon from 1977, Yeti. Giant of the 21st century.
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
Or maybe it's 20th century.
20th century.
I think it's 20th century. Yeah. I think you've seen this. We've seen this before.
Yeah.
Yeti Giant of the
Ooh.
20th century. I made my zero a little bad in my notes here, so it is 20th century. The Italian King Kong 1976 ripoff. Yeah. So
Bad film. That one is yikes.
Yeah.
He's kind of got the $6 Million Man Bigfoot look going.
a little less costuming. Yeah, they used a little bit more of the actor. It was kind of, except for the giant cod piece around his Yeti junk.
Yeah.
The furry cod piece.
There's a lot of love stuff going on in there, too. There's a lot of leering and weirdness.
It's a little grosser than the King Kong movie, you're right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's see here. Oh, also on Amazon Prime. I watched a documentary. That I don't know. Another dart at the wall. Ben Harley will not go on Amazon Prime. There's too much there for him. He doesn't have time for it. It's too perfect for him. He doesn't like to be a completed puzzle. I can go through his entire life and prove this, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. He does not like to be a completed puzzle. He likes to leave things hanging out there. So I watched the documentary Wildfire Tommy Rich.
No, you did?
I did.
Nice.
The wrestler Tommy Rich.
How'd that go?
It was pretty good. It was actually horribly cobbled together documentary. It was,
really?
I mean, it probably cost somebody $20 and a couple afternoons on their Mac on iMovie, probably.
Really?
But it was still watchable as a wrestling fan.
Right.
As a wrestling fan, because this person actually knew a little bit about Tommy Rich and did string together some of his old matches and stuff.
He was quite the star there for a minute.
Yes.
Rising star.
Yep.
And, I watched him quite a bit in his heyday and in his low day. And I hate to say that part of his descent or during that was some of the stuff he wrestled here in Toledo for a while. I've seen that guy get bloodied more times here in Toledo than just about anywhere.
Yeah, they talked about the fact that he liked to do that he did that for, he did that a lot for people because it was blonde hair and the blood really looked good on it.
Start sweating in that blonde hair. Boy, he just looked like a mess. But yeah, he didn't fare real well.
No.
He kind of got pummeled quite a bit here. Not because of he being a bad wrestler or anything. He just The guy who ran the company, Jerry Graham, he was a bad guy at the time.
Gotcha.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Tommy Rich, The Wildfire.
Tommy Rich.
Check that out, Tim.
Yeah. We'd have to get Amazon Prime.
That might be the dart that stuck me, Tim.
I can't believe
it's got good stuff like that on it.
Tommy Rich is the one that got you to Amazon Prime.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay. Well,
maybe. Well, I'm getting there. I swear.
This might get you to Amazon Prime because I did not watch this on Amazon Prime. I did not watch this, so this might get you over there too. 31, the film by Rob Zombie.
Oh, that's not going to do it, Tim. Are you trying to?
It's not there. That's why I said it might. It's not there. That's why it might get you. Yeah, I actually saw this on a Blu-ray rented from Netflix, and I have to admit to you, I can't say I had high hopes for this. But I didn't go into it thinking this is going to be as bad as what I'd seen before. Yeah. And, it wasn't as bad as what I'd seen before. It was fucking worse.
Oh, really? Okay.
Now, it even starts off a little promising. It starts off with you're in like a dark, long, like let's say a high school hallway. It's dark. Okay. The doors open out of focus. A character walks into frame. Right face into frame. And who is it? It's the guy who's in jail in Perkins 14. It's really? It's Perkins. Yeah. And he's he's got like makeup on and blood. And here's a shocker. He's dirty.
Oh, no. Greasy hair?
I looked a long time for a clean person just for you, Ben Harley. I could not find one. As a matter of fact, the camera even grazed by a boom mic operator. He was dirtier than the rest of them. So I don't. Oh, this is fucking terrible. I mean, I lost interest in it. I had I kept daydreaming about things I needed to move into storage for my house. And it was just terrible. This guy needs to be stopped. He's a musician. And look, he's a terrible musician, but we live in a world of people who I think are terrible musicians because I am one. You're an artist. You might have a more discerning eye on the pen to paper or the paint to the canvas than I would. Sure. I don't know bad art when I see it very much. I just know I see it. That's about it. I do know somebody who just is a poser, blowhard. I'm making my living off what I like as opposed to what I can do. Ben Hurley, there isn't a podcast like that, is there?
No.
I'm not being at all no, just no. We're not doing a podcast off of stuff we like or things like that. So I'm not calling. It's not the pot calling the kettle black here or nothing.
No, sir. All right. Timo.
It's bad.
What is it? Well, no, never mind.
It's these people. Look, here. It's hard. It's hard to discern and figure out. Basically, these people are circus performers of some sort, and they're in a van or Winnebago, I guess, going to a gig. And they get stopped at your typical roadside tourist trap type thing and sucked into this thing where they have to last 12 hours in some maze or something with, I guess, 31 crazy people dressed like clowns.
No.
And the evil overlords looking over this are, at least one of them is Malcolm McDowell. And they're dressed up like 17th century Frenchmen with the wigs and shit on. I think Judy Geeson might be another one. It's a bad movie, Ben Harley. I think I've spent too much time ripping it apart, but it is a Rob Zombie movie. It is tradition on the show to rip apart Rob Zombie. Exactly. I really want to like one of his movies. I even went back and watched Devil's Rejects about a year or two ago and didn't like it as much as I saw it the first time.
No, I don't like it.
And what's really...
House of a Thousand Corpses, half of it is about as good as that.
Yeah.
I'm done.
I actually thought The Lords of Salem was interesting. I didn't like the whole thing. I thought it fell apart. But... And I'm looking around, everybody else hated it. I'm like... So the Rob Zombie fans hated it. But the person who didn't like Rob Zombie, I don't like anything. You have to understand that when I played music, one of our first managers was a DJ at a public radio station. Now, you might say, Okay, but think about my age.
Yeah.
Public radio was the only place you were going to hear punk rock, heavy metal, or anything underground or independent.
Sure.
Okay. So this was a big, big public station. It's still big. I still go there for interviews, put it that way. I think me and Danny Hicks went there for an interview.
Oh, nice.
And stuff like that. So it was a KDHX, okay? So she was a DJ. She had a cassette tape, which was a promotional item for an upcoming record from a new group called White Zombie.
White Zombie.
Yes. And she put it in, and I said, what is this? I wish I was tasteful like Ministry bullshit. I remember, and I actually put her tape down on a big stereo speaker and left it there. Do you know what happens to tapes when you leave them on a big speaker? So
Yeah.
they get erased from the magnets. Anyway,
that's
yeah.
right.
So that was my first foray into Rob Zombie. Okay, moving on, Ben Hurley. That's enough for Rob Zombie. Can't stand him, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Watched a movie, very interesting film called The Evil Within. This is also on Amazon Prime.
Okay. All right.
This was released like in the last couple of years, but it took about 10 years to make.
Really?
It's got Michael Berryman, Sean Patrick Flannery, and Dina Meyer in it. It is a story about Sean Patrick Flannery is taking care of his special needs brother. And he looks to be fairly autistic. He's got one shoulder cocked up, his head down. He's constantly patting his hand. You know, like he's got tics and things, and his fingers are always moving. And he talks like this to the bed. He talks like this. You know, so basically he's being praised by everyone who doesn't have a family member that's actually special needs.
Right, yeah.
He looks like a wonderful Hollywood special needs, perfect, kid who's smart at the right times, doesn't poop his pants ever, those kinds of things,
Yeah.
So he gets his mirror, and the mirror starts talking back to him in an intelligent way.
Oh,
so like it's his mirror image, but the mirror image is telling him to do things, bad things. Yeah,
really.
This is an interesting movie. I actually kind of like this movie, and I would suggest it. It is a nightmare movie where you don't know where reality and fantasy collide, and I don't like those kinds of movies, and I did like this. And I will say one thing. This is Michael Berryman's creepiest ever. And really? I thought Hills Had Eyes were something. Yeah. This is creepier than that. And he looks creepier, by the way, in it too.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yikes. That's bad news.
Good news if you want to get creeped out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go, Ben Hurley. Now I've been waiting to talk to you about this. I'm going to go in sequence backwards. I watched now these are Amazon Primes also. All Amazon Prime, man. I am bum rushing you this week, all right? So I watched The Howling 5, The Rebirth.
God.
All right, so now this one was from 1989. All right, and it was the one that was in the castle where it was kind of more of a mystery.
Yeah.
Very subtle on the werewolf also, which was interesting too. Very subtle on the werewolf. Not a whole lot of werewolf in it. As for a direct-to-video type of thing, it is what it is. Again, these were all these all right up to the first one all have a lineage. There is producers that are from the first film that are still owning this thing, by the way.
Really?
So these aren't Wild West, like I just came off the street and want to produce a film. Well, they got the Howling franchise. It's always good to bury a career. How about that? Okay.
Right.
So I couldn't just stand with the Howling 5, The Rebirth in the castle. I had to go to Howling 4.
Oh,
the original Nightmare from 1988. Now check this out. All right. Directed by John Ho, who did the Legend of Hell House.
Yeah.
Along with a bunch of other great British and creepy horror films. It's a remake of the original. But it is closer to the actual book written by Gary Brandner. Yes.
Okay.
It's also about I don't think I could trade my truck in that's 15 years old for the money to produce this film. I think I might have some left over. Very low budget remake, and it's. Can I say this? I actually think the werewolf in this film, which is not shown very much, but there is a werewolf in this film, one of the best werewolves I've ever seen.
Really?
One of the best, way better than the first one.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, so it's just, now they don't show it much. There ain't much there, but they do, because remember, it's a remake of the original one. So in the fire scene, it's moving around and it's impressive. I don't know why they didn't use it more. They spent money on the damn thing. It's a low budget film, you know. But it was, it was a remake, but it was drab. It felt like a made for video. And apparently John Ho said that he really wanted to do this because he loved the original and he wanted to do something that would give honor to the original one. And the damn producer that was running the show went and recut it. And the whole thing was dubbed. He just ruined it. Just ruined it.
Really?
Yeah, just ruined it. Yeah, you can see it there. There was an attempt there with a small amount of money to make something really cool, but it's a little frustrating. So, Ben Harley.
So you went on.
I went on and watched The Howling. The original one. Yeah.
Oh, that a boy. Good. Okay. I think I got up to part 4, but I don't know. I don't remember that. I mean, yeah.
Well,
it got worse so bad for me. I couldn't take it.
Well, it's closer to the book. Therefore, she wasn't a reporter. She was just a writer.
Oh, okay.
There was no Eddie. She just, something happened to her and she wanted to get away into the country, and she just ended up in a place of werewolves. So but it is very similar. There's still like the ethereal woman that's after the husband and stuff, you know, and all those other things. So, but the original Ben Harley, went and watched the original 1981, the year of the werewolf. The American Werewolf. I believe,
and The Howling.
And I believe Wolfman might have been out that year too, which is not technically werewolf, but close enough for me.
Yeah, close enough. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So me and Angio watched that one because she was saying she didn't remember last time we watched it. She didn't remember it.
Really?
Watching it. Yeah. So it was fun to go back and watch. I still think American Werewolf in London's better. I still think it holds up better. I think the werewolves are better, but I still enjoy this movie immensely. I still really, really like it. I think the scene where Belinda Belansky or whatever her name is getting attacked in the office. It's still a really good like werewolf scene.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
I don't think the transformation is up to par compared to American Werewolf. There's a lot of things, and I love Rob Bottin. Yeah. The Thing to me is unsurpassed. The work on that, but this was like, it's okay. But the thing I got out, of course, since I watched it, Ben Harley, I watched all the special features I got on this thing.
Yeah.
Because you have to do that, right? I mean,
of course.
I'm sure you do the same thing. You know, if you get them, you have special features, you watch them. I did not know that Joe Dante was offered to direct the film Orca.
No shit. Oops, sorry. No, I didn't know that either, Tim.
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. And he turned it down? Or?
He turned it down because I guess he said he did Piranha and stuff. And he's like, well, I was offered Orca. I was like, yeah, but Piranha came out after Orca. Yeah. So I don't really know how it squares, but he could have just gotten his time mixed up a little bit. But regardless, he recalled being offered Orca and he turned it down.
Huh. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, Orca's still good, so I don't know.
It'd be interesting to see Joe Dante doing that.
Oh, yeah.
I think that'd be pretty cool. And and Ben Harley, I was a little long winded. I had a lot of stuff this week. I wanted to get through. I had a lot of stuff. I got through them. Yeah. And I wanted to end on The Howling.
Love The Howling, Timo.
That's your flick.
I'm still on the fence a little. I go back and forth between that. I still do think American Werewolf is a better film overall. But I don't know. The Howling it scared me a lot and I got a special spot in my heart for that one too, and I just, I don't know. I like the werewolves better actually in The Howling too. I do. I like the werewolf a little bit.
It just doesn't, it looks cute to me. Like I want to pet it. I don't, you know what it kind of reminds me of is a Silver Bullet werewolf.
A little bit, yeah.
And
it looks better, though.
I don't like the dog-looking werewolves.
Snout.
Yeah, I don't like the dog-looking werewolves and stuff. I mean, the thing with American Werewolf in London to me is it looked like it was...
A beast more than a...
Yeah. It did, you're right. It looked like a beast. You couldn't tell what it was, basically. But I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. You know what, though? I think The Howling is a more interesting story.
I do too. Well, to me, it's really gritty. I think there's not much. What I liked about American Werewolf in London, it had some comedy to it and some, even I don't know, it's not really comedic when you're sitting there or he's talking to people that he's killed already, but it's still kind of the way they talked back to him and different things. Even though you're looking at someone who's shredded, like completely
right.
half eaten, it's still kind of, you know what I mean? So, I just think The Howling's a grittier film, and I even shot a little grittier sometimes.
It's definitely shot different, that's for sure.
Yeah,
it's not. It looks a lot.
It's kind of like a dreamy like quality to it.
A little bit, yeah. But I think it's funnier than you might recall too, though, because there's Dante's got a lot of humor. Yeah, I mean, it's just, you can't have Slim Pickens in a movie without making people laugh. It doesn't work.
You're right. Well, I just think too, with The Howling, that really scared me is that they could transform at any time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That freaked me. I'd never seen that in a werewolf movie until then. You know what I mean? So, but that's a good one, Tim, because I think I talked about I was going to watch that.
Yeah, that's why I watched it.
And I haven't got a chance to yet. So, all
right.
Bad me.
Bad you. Well, what else did you watch instead of The Howling?
Tim, I haven't had a whole lot to watch this week, really. You know, a little bit here and there, buddy. Let me get to my notes here. Gotham was new this week too. That guy with the pig head, he's on the loose.
Haven't figured him out yet?
Not quite yet. He basically declared war on the entire Gotham Police Department. So that had a lot of the police kind of turning on each other and things like that stuff too. But not bad. It's still getting not much Riddler or what's his face, Solomon Grundy in this one, but still not too bad. I do like this Gotham show. I think it's interesting, and I think the fact that they do take a lot of leaps. It's some of the stuff's pretty silly, but some of it's really horrifying too. So I think it's a really good mix of both.
Gotcha.
Tim, I've been trying to catch up on some of the things I'm watching. Also, I've taped quite a few things here recently. So I was able to finish up the Spielberg documentary.
Yep.
Yeah. Really good, though. Man, that guy's body of work is just insane. Because there's more than a few movies that I forgot that were his. You know what I mean? And just really good stuff. And he makes a good point. He's talking about sci-fi and stuff and him doing War of the Worlds and other different things. But, he talks about like with Godzilla, there are tales as old as time, a lot of the stuff that he does because, it's like, you have an atomic bomb and up comes Godzilla. You mess with, atomic energy, you create Godzilla, and I just thought that was kind of cool what he said, But I still think going back, with him, just like many artists and other things, and I talked about it before, him, not being gritty enough or different things. I don't know. Private Ryan's a pretty gritty movie. I don't know if I ever was quite as affected by a film. Trust me, Jaws has affected me still, and will for the rest of my life. But I mean, as far as like sitting in the theater, just riveted to my chair, watching that movie, I still think it's one of the greatest films ever made. I always will. Is it one of my favorite movies? It's up there, but I still think it's one of the greatest movies ever made, period. Just, from start to finish. But what a great documentary. You feel better for him because a lot of the stuff, and you can see a lot of it in his films, different heartbreaks over his life, mostly with family when he was younger and different things. But it was nice to see there towards it, like a lot of his things too, personal life things has all come together full circle too for him. Mm-hmm. But man, a lot of it plays out in his films big time, and you really wouldn't notice it, I guess, unless you're told. But you know, what a great, director. Just unbelievable. Yeah. It was like when I went and saw Alice Cooper the last time, Timo, it's almost too much for your brain to handle how much stuff certain people have done over the years. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like I said, when I saw Alice Cooper, I was just actually blown away by how many hit song after hit song after smash hit song he played. And then you watch this documentary and it's smash hit after smash hit after smash hit.
Oh, yeah.
These movies, some of them, he fell short on some.
Right.
They talk about 1943 a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Or was it 1941?
41, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. He says, I thought I could do comedy. I thought, maybe.
Right.
Which he does. He does some good, but I don't mind that movie. It's all right. I know it flopped when it came out, though.
Yeah. It's I can't ever forget the scene, though, where Dan Aykroyd is in the back of a tank or something. He's got stockings over his head and 2 oranges over his eyes going, I'm a bug. I'm a bug. I thought I still laugh about that.
Yeah. Well, let's keep with a little bit of comedy then, Timo, real quick. Okay. I did, like I said, I've been taping many, many things. But it's fun because a lot of these movies I haven't seen in a long time. I taped Stripes the other day. Yeah, what a fun movie.
Oh,
I love those old 80 movies. Mm-hmm. Those things were much bigger to me when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
And then, it's fun watching them, though. They're still such good movies. Most of them last pretty well. This Stripes holds up pretty good,
Right.
The funny movie. I like the first 15, 20 minutes of it when all the bad things are going wrong with him. And his day just gets worse and worse. But what a good movie, Good stuff. Good stuff. I did try to watch something the other day, Timo. We're going to switch over to the ocean a little bit here.
All right.
Not that Ocean's as funny as Stripes, but let's see here. So I tried watching the other day, and I think it came out in 2003, but Master Commander, Other Side of the World or whatever. I think it had too long of a title. I think that's the problem. It has too long of a title.
Yeah, Master and Commander, Journey or something, Voyage. With Russell Crowe in it.
It's all right. It's all right. I didn't mind it, and I like movies like that about the sea and ships and battles on the sea, I guess. But I don't know. It just didn't really hold my attention all that well. It just seemed it was okay. It was just only okay. So, another movie to deal with the sea, Timo, this is the last thing I got for this week, is I did finally get to see Heart of the Sea, which I've been wanting to see for a while. See how I did that?
I did.
Yeah. So I've been wanting to view this movie for a while now, and finally got to. It stars what's his name, Chris Hemsworth or something. The guy who plays Thor in the new movies. Not too bad. This is a story about the true story of how Herman Melville came up with Moby Dick. It's based on a true happening. Gosh, why can't I remember the name of the ship right now? Oh, God.
I used to know it too, believe it or not, and I can't think of it either. Yeah.
I apologize.
Yeah, I used to know it too.
I'm usually really good at that.
Yeah.
But, this is the story of this ship that went out and basically kind of was attacked by a whale. And this movie kind of revolves around Herman Melville trying to get this older gentleman to tell him the story. Now, this gentleman was, I think, about 16 years old or something and was on the ship. But he's like there was only a few survivors, but he's the only living survivor at the time.
Gotcha.
Herman Melville, so it's pretty good. A lot of it revolves around, I shouldn't say a lot of it, but some of it revolves around him speaking with the gentleman and the gentleman's firsthand account of everything too, and then it goes into the movie, and stuff, but, not too bad of a film. Now, if this whale really did what it did, wow, what an experience. This whale was enormous. basically what they were doing, they were going out, whaling, and they were attacked while they were out, trying to capture the whales at the time, this other whale basically attacked the boats that they were in and just destroyed the main ship too, and so the movie then goes to kind of a castaway film from there on.
Right. Which I think I was telling you, that's what kind of drew me away from the movie, was knowing that I had heard that if you want a Moby Dick, then watch the first half of it. The rest of it's just kind of a survival story on the water. I don't like
the whale
those.
does show up, I think 2 more times. Possibly. I know it's 1 more time at least, but I think it's twice it shows back up again. Yes, it is. It's twice that it shows back up. And it's pissed off. It's definitely pissed off. But it's not a bad film. It just and what's weird, it's almost just under 2 hours, but it doesn't really kind of feel that long, even though it doesn't have a whole heck of a lot of action all the time. It doesn't seem like a really long film, so I did appreciate that too. I guess I could say, I need more whale, but you're going from the real story,
right?
And it's way off of what Moby Dick is, but you can see where the sprinklings of this original story are in Moby Dick,
right? Right.
And it's kind of nice because Nathaniel Hawthorne, right? He's a famous writer, isn't that it? They just refer to him as Hawthorne. I figured that's who it was. But the gentleman that's telling Melville the story is like, Hawthorne, now that's a great writer. And I think Melville had only done 1 book before this, before Moby Dick. And so, he's like, I know Hawthorne, and it's kind of throughout the movie, you feel bad for him because he's struggling to be something. It's a great writer. And at the end of the film, it says that Hawthorne basically quoted as saying that, he'd wrote the epic of America, that Melville had, so that was kind of neat to see it all come full circle a little bit.
Right.
But, not a bad movie, Tim.
Yeah.
As far as seagoing films, not bad. The whale looks pretty good, and it's pissed off, and it's big.
Right. Did you like it more than Master and Commander?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Master and Commander is a technically amazing movie. Just like the reality of it and the audio. I mean, like the way it's shot and everything. Yeah. It's just a beautiful movie. I mean, but it's not the most. It's got elements of Moby Dick, just not with the giant whales or anything. I mean, just elements of that.
Sure.
Also has elements of Mutiny on the Bounty and things like that. I kind of remember. I remember a lot of seeing the cannon balls going into boats. I remember that a lot. Yeah, that was pretty cool. That some of the battles they were having. Right, that's more what it was, like battles at sea, pretty much. Master and Commander. Yeah.
Well, they were following a ship. They were trying to intercept a Spanish man of war. And they kind of got surprised by the Spanish man of war, and it tore them up at first, but then they continued on. And followed it and sunk it later on. And I like Russell Crowe. I do. I think he's a great actor. I do. I mean, some stuff, but for the most part, I think he's a pretty good, I can.
He's a really good actor. Yeah, he was brilliant in Gladiator. I mean, I remember seeing that in the theater. That was the last movie. Well, I saw that in Green Mile in the theater and thought those were really worth going and seeing those.
Yeah,
and that was years and years and years. I haven't been to a theater in so damn long. It's almost become like a cool thing with me now. I refuse to go to a theater. Because it's been since 2000 or 2001. I do. That's true. That's true.
Let's get to chairs.
That's right. Yeah. Let's get to our official little films, Mr. Ben Harley.
Sure, Tim.
Let's get people back up on dry land. How about that?
Okay. Yeah. Landlubber. Yeah.
So first up from 1964, we have the Bette Davis film Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte.
Yes, yeah.
Let me get out Movie Guy and give you a short synopsis here.
The Movie Guy went to high school with Bette Davis, didn't he?
Yeah, he might have been one of her instructors, one of her teachers, yeah.
Hey.
All right, here we go. Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte, 1964. It gets Movie Guy. All right, here we go. An aging, reclusive Southern belle, plagued by a horrifying family secret, descends into madness after the arrival of a lost relative. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
I'll buy
Yeah.
into that one.
Hey, that's easy enough.
Yeah. Again, 1964, Buddy Davis. Now, Ben Harley, you did watch the show about Joan Crawford, Buddy Davis.
Yes.
This movie, I'm sure, was a part.
Feud. Yeah.
Yes. And I'm sure that this film was a part of that series.
Yes, they talked a
yes,
little bit about it. Yeah.
Because Joan Crawford was supposed to play the Olivia de Havilland role.
The cousin.
Yes,
right?
the cousin that comes. Yes. Joseph Cotton. He plays the dude that's drunk through the whole movie. I'm pretty sure he wasn't acting. I think he was drunk. I really do think he was drunk in that.
He might have been. Yeah.
Let's see. We got old Agnes Moorehead from Bewitched, the mom from Bewitched, who was the person who was trying to help Betty Davis, her servant, her woman servant, as you will. Let's see here. We had
she talked a lot.
yeah. We had Cecil Kellaway, who played the old kind doctor guy. I like that guy.
Yeah,
he was in I Married a Witch that we reviewed.
Yeah, that's right. He was the father, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
Victor Bono. Was King Tut and Batman. Batman stuff. He plays Buddy Davis's disembodied father. You and Chance both are big fans of Mr. Victor Bono. So
he's good.
Yeah.
It's King Tut.
He is
so
good.
over the top.
So again, this film, Olivia de Havilland replaced Joan Crawford. There's supposedly still a shot of Joan Crawford in the film because she did do some scenes, which you probably saw in Feud. Her getting kicked off this movie. And I thought she had gotten sick. I thought that was part of what had happened, that she had gotten sick. I don't know if you
I think she kind of held them hostage a little bit on some of it.
Gotcha.
Held the production in hostage.
Right.
Hostage or whatever,
Well, this is a follow-up, not a sequel, but a follow-up to Baby Jane.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, there's some Bruce Dern in it as Charlotte's ill-fated young lover. What a young Bruce Dern.
Yeah, watched him in Burbs the other day.
Did you? Well, he looked a little different.
A lot different.
Sweet Charlotte. So this is a gothic psychological thriller with some horror elements in it. Now, Ben Harley, I know you're a fan of Feud. I know you're a fan of these creepy aging starlet films and things like that. And let's see, what did you think of Hush, Hush, Sweet Charlotte? And is this the first time you've seen it?
Yes, this is the first time. And I've known about this movie probably since I was a kid. I've heard of it. I didn't know much about it, but back then I think it was one of those, I was like, it's black and white, maybe not. I don't know. I just didn't, they do touch upon it on that television show Feud a little bit. So I knew a little bit more going into it, but, I don't know, Timo, this isn't a bad film. And it's funny because there's a few of the actors that were in, Baby Jane, and then also in what's the one, Timo, we watched, the Joan Crawford where she was the axe murderer or whatever. I know there's a couple.
That was Straight Jacket.
Yeah. And then what's the name? The one actor, he was also in that. So it was kind of neat because it had, familiar elements to it, I guess. So, but as far as the movie goes, I don't know. It's a little long for me. First off, it's a little bit too long, and I think for the payoff is, for as long as it was, there wasn't much of a payoff. I kind of think I much prefer Baby Jane over this film, and also that Straight Jacket movie. I thought were far superior movies. Now this one is okay. Betty Davis is cranky as always, and she plays pretty cranky.
Yeah.
And she's off her rocker a little bit. She comes out at one point and shoots at because the plantation that they own, or I don't know if it's a plantation or it was at one time or whatever.
The estate
is is being supposed to be torn down for, I think, a highway, maybe, Timo.
Yeah, I think so.
So Betty Davis' character is clinging on to the house.
Yeah,
and she comes out at and her sanity, and comes out at one point and shoots at the workers.
Yeah, and one of them was played by
that
George Kennedy.
The guy from from Straight, and he was in Straight Jacket. That's who I was trying to think of. Yeah, and I like him. He's good too. And he's not in it a whole heck of a lot,
right?
But what I did, I guess, kind of like about the movie, that there was a little bit of intrigue between the different characters and her cousin, you know, coming back home after all these years, and everybody kind of knows each other a little bit and certain things from the past, but they're not telling you all of it, you know, which I did kind of like a little bit too, because the sheriff also, they know the sheriff from when they were younger and things like that. So I liked all those aspects of the film. I just think it was a little too long.
Yeah.
And not as, I don't know. I guess I was expecting something a little bit more creepy than I guess this is more of like a thriller, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's first of all, Bette Davis is one of the most horrifying monsters in cinema history. I mean that oddly enough. I mean, as a compliment from a horror show, this is frightening, man. I mean, when she was going batty and screaming and going down the stairs, and it's like, oh my god. To me, it's a really good story. It's a really good story, and it's good suspense. But I think what you're trying to say, maybe, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm articulating this in a way that you're grabbing onto, it's uniformly too drawn out.
Yeah.
It's just uniformly, it's not like there's a lot you could cut out, but there's a lot you could squeeze. Does that make sense? I mean, it's like, it's just some scenes are like, okay, edit, go. But it's like, and Robert Aldrich did the movie. I mean, the guy did Baby Jane. He did the Dirty Dozen, all the Marbles, which to me is Gone with the Wind right there. The women wrestlers. The Longest Yard. He did Emperor of the North, which to me is one of the greatest films.
Favorites.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Olivia de Havilland herself was in Gone with the Wind. I mean, she's another classic actress. Actually, she was kind of known for picking up projects that Joan Crawford got benched
and
on.
she looks like her, you know.
I actually think Olivia de Havilland was pretty damn good looking in this movie. I do not find Joan Crawford or Bette Davis remotely attractive, no matter what year you're showing me a picture of. It's just my thing. I don't find them attractive at all. But Olivia de Havilland, on the other hand, even at her age in this movie, when she came down in that nice little dress, I am not a sucker for 1960s like prim and proper dresses and the beehive-ish haircuts and stuff. I was like, hey. But it's a Southern Gothic old murder. What happened a long time ago? Why is this person stuck in her house? And the ending is a little confusing. It's a little like, wait a minute, what was that? What is this? And I think it's because it's just uniformly too drawn out. Yeah. So you lose important pieces because they're giving you too many things that aren't that important. Although they are necessary to tell the tale, it just gets to be a little bit much. It gets to be a little bit much. It's not even a slow thing. It's an overabundance thing. Because
the cousin and her boyfriend or ex-boyfriend from back in the day, they're really trying to drive her nuts. Yeah. They're trying to drive her insane. So she can have the estate or whatever. Right. And
careful what you wish for.
And it's funny because how prim and proper she does act, and then her character at the end is just, you know, insane. Right. Too, almost, you know, where, I mean, she's in a controlled sanity, I guess. Right. Or insanity, I guess, or whatever. But she gets nutty too. She becomes quite evil. She becomes the monster.
Well, right. When her and Agnes Moorehead have this little standoff there, when Agnes Moorehead's trying to take Bette Davis out of the house, that's when Olivia de Havilland just throws down the gloves. I mean, that's just
a chair.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of really great stuff. It's a great story. I mean, when Joseph Cotton comes back from the watery grave, that's a great moment. You know, I mean, there's a lot of really cool stuff. It's just, like I said, uniformly too drawn out. That being said, Ben Harley, I'm still going to give it a great bape up. Not a huge one, just a solid regular one, because it's a fantastic movie that was just, it's been stretched a little. It's stretched a little thin. Yeah. That's all. And I think without Baby Jane, this one would probably be more of a classic.
I think so. Maybe too.
But it's not beating Baby Jane.
No. I liked it a little bit, but I'm just going to give it a mild grape ape up. Okay. I was expecting a little bit more. I will say the ending with the flower pot ending, or the giant flower pot ending.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Touchdown.
Right.
And they deserved it.
Well, you're sitting there thinking, well, what's going to happen? What are you going to do? What's this? All of a sudden it's like, there you go.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's simple. All those years of all that, and you just go, and there you go. It's all taken care of. So, all right. Well, so we got a mild grape ape and a solid grape ape up for me for Hush Hush Sweet Star. A little disappointing, but there were parts that I actually was the opposite. That I have seen this a few times, and I remember, oh, that was cool. I forgot about that. So there was a little bit of both, and maybe if you see it again, you might have a little bit better of a thing. But
I think I might have liked it a little better if Joan Collins was in it. Not that I think she would have done any better of a job. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, but I don't think. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it wasn't because of acting. I just think she's creepier.
Right. Well, no, I will give you that. Yeah. Although it was cool to see Olivia de Havilland fly out the handle. Yeah. I'll give you that. If you're Olivia de Havilland and Joan Crawford and the two women are throwing a chair at me, I'm going to duck a little bit harder with Joan Crawford. I can tell you that much right now. So, well, let's get to our next fish little film, Mr. Ben Harley. Now, this is interesting. We're not going to do a movie guy. We're not going to do anything like this. Now, I have recently gotten the Blu-ray of Exorcist III, which our good friend, Mr. Joel Robinson, did the artwork for. It looks fantastic, by the way. Very neat. Yeah. And of course, Joel did make sure that Brad Dourif had a tear coming down his face in his artwork. I'm not sure if you noticed that or not, but I certainly noticed it. I was like, well, there you go, Joel. There you go. You've talked to Harley about this, haven't you? But this is what is known as the director's cut of the film. This is what William Peter Blatty, what he wanted based off of his novel Legion. So this film is a re-edit of Exorcist III with the title Legion. So this is actually Legion. So what this is, it's a re-stitched together version of the story taken from the theatrical, taken from some work print stuff, some VHS things, just whatever they could find, whatever materials they could find. Okay.
Yeah.
A couple things. We did talk about this on the show whenever I was just mentioning Exorcist III a little bit.
Yeah.
There was no Father Mourning in the original story, so therefore there was no Exorcist. There was also no Jason Miller in the film. No and Brad Dourif played Father Karras. Yeah. They actually had a shot, and this is one of the edited in VHS-looking scenes, where Ed Flanders and George C. Scott are drinking at a bar in a booth, and they look up at the picture, and in the picture you can see a young Brad Dourif. Yeah, in the picture as the priest, as Karras. So that made a lot of sense to me. What happened with all this? So there is no editing back and forth between Jason Miller and Brad Dourif as a Gemini killer. It is simply Brad Dourif playing Father Karras, who is possessed by the Gemini killer. Yeah. Correct? Yep. And it is a different, all of the stuff with Brad Dourif was shot at a different time. In a different room that looked more like Silence of the Lambs, looked more like Hannibal Lecter's prison cell. Dungeon. Yeah. So basically they kind of went back, retooled it to make it pretty much what Blatty wanted in the beginning. That's what this is. So this is both of our first time seeing this. I know that because I waited. I really wanted to wait and watch this and discuss it with you. Fresh, like with both of us not having a preconceived notion. So I'll let you go first. What do you think?
Tim, at first I was like kind of like not really noticing much of a change, but then there's like they say at the beginning too, and they give you a little synopsis at the beginning telling you what they did, just like you were explaining how they pieced it together and stuff. But some of it is jarring because it goes from like it's shot really well, it looks beautiful, and then all of a sudden you go bam into this VHS copy that looks like it's been filmed through cheesecloth. Right. So some of that at first was a little jarring for me. And I was trying to piece together because there are, from that point on, like a lot of the stuff at the beginning with George C. Scott and the detectives and things like that is a little different. So that, some of it was okay, but some of it just seemed for me was a little bit sped up too fast. I was like, wait, hold on, And a lot of that comes because this is one of my favorite all-time. We know this. I mean, you know this, but it's one of my all-time favorite films. Horror or not. I just like this movie. Always have. So it's weird. It's like watching. You're like, wait a second. What's going on? Why is this happening? Right. Once I got over that initially too, because I knew going in this was going to happen, but I was like, it's jarring for me at first. But I don't know. I liked some of the story. I liked some of the extra stuff that they put in there. But it just, for me, this moves a little too slow. Because The Exorcist III is a slow movie. It's a slow burn to where it builds up and builds up. And you find out a little bit more, and then there's more Brad Dourif, and then you get some more story, and then more Brad Dourif. You know what I mean? But this one just seemed like, I don't know, it wasn't giving me enough to hold on to, really. But there were a few scenes that I thought were pretty cool, that were different, that I thought did add a little bit more to this film. I don't know though if this would be one of my favorite films. If this version would have been the version that came out. Right. I like it, but I don't love it. Does that sound weird? Does that make sense?
Well, I think I texted you. You can't, or maybe I didn't say this, but it's really difficult to compare the two, because the one had been touched up and sewn together in a neat little bow, and what we're seeing is a work print.
Exactly.
Basically,
and that's what I was trying to tell myself.
Right. Yeah. And the thing is there's some things missing. First of all, I didn't think I liked it, but after watching this, I think I do like the voice effects on Brad Dourif that are in the original film, because he swears he thinks a performance that he did, which we saw in this version, which was the one that was done first before Jason Miller was in the movie. He thought this was better. I disagree.
I disagree.
I completely disagree with that. I think that it's much better in the theatrical. Again, though, this was it was filtered through, it was mastered, it was mixed, it was really fine tuned, and this was not. So it's very difficult. I actually like the story arc much better in this version, but that's because I understood it. Sure, I understood what was going on. It was like, oh, okay. It was a little confusing, but for the most part, it's much easier to follow as a story. This one is. So I appreciated. But I miss the switching back and forth between Jason Miller and Brad Dourif, because I think it was a perfect mix of those two. And I think it helps to solidify. Now, the question I have is, why didn't they look the book Legion itself is more, obviously, if they re-edited this is more like the book. The book is more like a detective story, which is what this was. This was more of a detective story. Yeah. I like all of that. I wish they could have put the detective story and still allowed Jason Miller to be Father Karras and allow him to morph into Brad Dourif, because I think I would understand more what was happening. When I saw this in a theater in 1990, I loved what I was seeing, but I couldn't tell you what the fuck I was looking at. I mean, I was like, I don't know, what the hell's going on? I like this guy, and I didn't really know Brad Dourif's name yet, but I liked him. I remembered him. I like this guy. And there's the guy from the original. What is going on? Is there two people? Is it George C. Scott's imagination?
Is he shape-shifting? That's what I thought that was the same things that I thought when I first saw it too. And that was jarring. But then after seeing it a couple times, it wasn't as jarring. And that's why I think this one was weird, because there's certain, and it does have a lot of the same lines. There's a few things that are changed in Brad Dourif's and his lines or whatever, but not much. For the most part in this, it's pretty spot on, but it's the lines that Father Karras had just sounded better in his voice, too.
Right. Well, and the thing what they were trying to do is Jason Miller was going to replace Brad Dourif. Brad Dourif was just like the studio wanted two things. They wanted Jason Miller and they wanted an exorcism. It's called The Exorcist. They wanted an exorcism. Yeah. So they got Jason Miller, and Jason Miller, no offense to anyone that would be offended, which it's like shooting fish in a barrel these days. But he was a drunk and he was insane. And if you ever saw any, if you ever saw any like old interviews with him, like for the Exorcist DVDs and stuff like that, the guy's off his rocker. I mean, you can tell he was. I mean, people probably used to cut him for cocaine. I mean, his body part. I mean, the guy was just out of his gourd. And apparently he was, what do they call it? Soft-headed. Like he had drank so much he couldn't remember his lines anymore and stuff. So he was very difficult to work with to try to get it right. So they basically salvaged what they could salvage. Had to call Brad Dourif back to fill in the gaps. Okay. That's what happened. And that's why they did it that way. And they had to reshoot it because they were in a different room. Yeah. They were in a totally different room. There were things, though, in this re-edit, like, oh, thanks for showing me what that machine's for. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know you've noticed it. You're a visual guy. I noticed that machine for years and years going, man, if I get a jail cell, I hope I get me one of those 1950s computers in my cell, in my jail cell, you know? But they did show a little bit more of that. They did explain more. It makes more sense. It's just not as scary. No. It and my thing too is watching Brad Dourif's performance, and this to me seemed like just a guy like him and George C. Scott just sitting there warming up to do the actual performance. Yeah, a little bit. It just he seemed a little bit. I guess I could see what he was doing in this performance. He seemed like he was much more cold about it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the real performance in the real one, I guess, whatever is much more. He's cold, but yet he's putting on a performance. The way he talks and the way he, and I just don't think that came across on this. You know? And it might just been like you said, the audio, because the audio is they put that little echoey type thing, more than me or whatever, on his voice, and but he sounds demonic. They pitch shift his voice and just, and in this, it's like cell phone audio basically. So that definitely doesn't help anything at all. And I mean, we have to be honest here and say that's not fair. That's why I'm saying it's not fair. I just think his facial expressions, body movements, and everything else were way better in his second performance, I guess, or the real performance. Right. And the other thing, too, is I understand where Blatty was coming from here. Because if you take this story, it's much more believable. I mean, it's basically, is George C. Scott seeing this or what's going on? And it just makes so much more sense. But let me put it this way. I can't really grape ape up or not. I mean, we both love The Exorcist III. So let's just say huge grape ape up. Sure. We love the story. We love the actors in the film. I don't really miss Father Mourning at all. The exorcism itself, I don't miss that part of the film whatsoever. I think that was silly. I kind of no, I think it's a silly part. It's got too much lightning and bullshit going on. Oh, I don't like that, but I do like when he first comes in and he kind of says, you again, and and, and enter night, stuff like that. I did like that, but I understand what you're saying. Yeah, so it didn't bother me that was gone, and I think they could have done it without him, but I didn't like it as much without Jason Miller, I have to admit. So I think the studio was right about one thing and wrong about another. I think they were right about Jason Miller. I don't think they were correct needing an exorcism, because basically it's the same thing that happens. I mean, it's the same result, end result, either way. Right, but, and I didn't think that they made a big enough deal out of George C. Scott not believing in religion in the movie to make that the big reveal. I believe, but it makes sense now that it's patched in. It all makes sense why it was there. So I found this to be utterly fascinating to watch, though. I really did. Yeah. I'm glad I watched it. It made me understand where Exorcist III came from. It made me understand what I didn't understand when I saw the film the first time, and then subsequent times. Just some things are hard to follow. Sure. So if you get The Exorcist III, the Blu-ray that Shout Factory or Scream Factory, whatever, put out, with the brilliant Joel Robinson teardrop artwork on there.
Yeah.
I would highly recommend, on an off day or off night, checking this out. It's different, and it's worth not back to back, but maybe in the same week, because that me and Angio just watched Exorcist III not too long ago.
Yeah, that's right.
Which made me want to do this. So both of us sat down and both of us watched this too, and we both found it interesting how it's different.
Yeah.
So for that, I would recommend getting this. It's a great Blu-ray, great special features, and to have a different cut of the film on there, and it's very clearly laid out which one you're supposed to watch.
Yeah.
I bitched before about what version am I supposed to watch? You got the integral cut, you got this, you got that. This is very clear that was just what the director wanted. So if you wanted to see what he wanted, here you go. Highly recommended for those reasons.
Yeah, and I do too, especially if a fan like Timo is of such things. Behind the scenes type stuff. I mean, this is definitely cool. It's neat to see something different, and plus with William Peter Blatty just passing away here recently,
right.
And the Exorcist on TV. It's kind of neat to go back and like I said, because I think it's a great movie. This is definitely not as great as the original, but I appreciated watching it for sure.
Right. With some of these elements, it still could have been great. With some of them, it would have been. But I'm glad they put out what they did. I'm glad to see this to help it make sense for me or whatever too. So very interesting though. Very, very fascinating.
Definitely.
Very fascinating. So, all right, Ben Harley, let's get the hell out of here. And not sure what we're doing next week. We're going to figure that out here soon. I don't know if we're going to get any audio fixed or anything like that. We'll see how this works out this year. Yeah, but we're pushing forward.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Absolutely. So until next week, Ben Harley, stay spooky, and we'll talk to you then.
Keep it creepy, people.
You've been listening to the Tim Owen Harley Show. Brought to you by ScreenPrintingFactory.com, your affordable one-stop solution to all your screen printing needs.